It should have been the happiest day of my life. Champagne, friends, plans. Then a lawyer walked in. He handed me an envelope at my bridal shower, and in front of 23 women in pastel dresses, my world collapsed. The envelope was cream, pretty script, like an invitation. Inside, a notice to vacate the house where my mother braided my hair. I'm Allison Whitmore. I'm 26. And before all this, before the eviction notice, I was just a woman who thought family meant forever. I was wrong. 6 weeks before my wedding, my stepmom tried to evict me. What she didn't know was that envelope would unravel everything. My hands went numb. The paper felt like ice, edges sharp enough to cut. I remember thinking, absurdly, that the calligraphy was beautiful. Expensive cardstock with my name in perfect script. Like a wedding invitation. But what was inside was the exact opposite of a beginning. It was an eviction notice. And I didn't know it yet, but that envelope would lead me to discover something that would change everything. This is the story of how my stepmom tried to destroy me, and how I made sure she regretted every single second of it. Let me take you back to understand how this nightmare began. My mom died when I was 15. Breast cancer. She fought for 2 years, and I watched her fade in the bedroom upstairs. The one with the window seat where she used to read to me, where the afternoon light smelled like lavender sachets she kept in every drawer. Our house was the kind of place that creaked when it breathed. Dark oak floors that caught the afternoon light like honey, built-in bookshelves that still smelled faintly of my mother's vanilla candles. Stained glass windows threw soft colors onto the staircase every morning, and the porch swing out front still had her initials carved into the armrest. It was a 1920s craftsman in a neighborhood that had gentrified around us, worth probably $1.2 million by the time this story takes place. My mom inherited it from her parents. It was supposed to be mine someday. That's what she told me, squeezing my hand in those final weeks. This house will always be yours, baby. Always. Dad remarried 18 months later. Too fast, everyone said, but grief does strange things to people. Camilla seemed nice at first. She was different from Mom. Sharper, more polished, always dressed like she was heading to a business lunch. She worked in real estate, which should have been my first red flag. But I was 17 and drowning, and Dad seemed happy again, so I swallowed my resentment and tried. Dad died 4 years later. Heart attack at 52. Sudden. Devastating. I was 21 in my senior year of college. Camilla handled everything: the funeral, the estate, the paperwork. I was too shattered to question anything. She told me Dad wanted me to stay in the house as long as I needed. "It's your home," she said, hugging me at the funeral. "Your father would want you here." That was 7 years ago. I lived in my childhood home, paid the utilities and property taxes. Or so I thought. Camilla said the house was in a trust and the finances were complicated, but not to worry about it. I was building my career as a graphic designer, working from the sunroom Mom had converted into an art studio. I met Jack, my fiancé, 3 years ago. He proposed in the backyard under the oak tree my parents planted when I was born. Everything was perfect. Until Camilla showed up at my bridal shower with a man in a gray suit and a briefcase. Kennedy's apartment. Mimosas, pastries, toilet paper, wedding dresses. It smelled like roses, until the metallic edge hit my throat. My future mother-in-law was there. Jack's sister. My college roommates. 23 women who loved me, laughing and celebrating. I was wearing a tea-pink dress that caught the afternoon light streaming through Kennedy's windows, my hair curled loose over my shoulders, actually glowing with happiness for the first time in weeks. Then Camilla walked in. I hadn't invited her. We'd grown distant after Dad died. She remarried 2 years ago to some finance guy and moved to a condo downtown. We did obligatory holiday dinners. She wasn't on my wedding guest list. Seeing her in Kennedy's doorway made my stomach twist, but I smiled. Tried to be gracious. "Camilla, this is unexpected." She smiled back. It didn't reach her eyes. "Allison, sweetheart. We need to talk." The man behind her stepped forward. Mid-50s, expensive suit, leather briefcase. "Ms. Allison Whitmore? I'm Robert Hutchins, attorney at law." The room went pin-drop silent except for the faint hiss of champagne bubbles dying in someone's forgotten glass. Kennedy grabbed my arm. "Allison, what's going on?" I couldn't speak. My brain couldn't process why a lawyer was at my bridal shower. Hutchins opened his briefcase. Pulled out the cream-colored envelope. Handed it to me like he was serving me hors d'oeuvres. "Consider yourself formally served." My palms were slick with sweat as I tried to steady the papers. The words blurred together at first. Then they sharpened into focus, each one hitting like a gavel. Notice 2 vacate premises. You have 30 days to remove yourself and all possessions from 847 Sycamore Street. Failure to comply will result in formal eviction proceedings. I looked up at Camilla. What is this? It's exactly what it looks like, Camilla said calmly. That house belongs to me, Allison. Your father signed it over to me when we got married. I've been generous letting you stay this long, but I need you out. I'm selling it. She looked me straight in the eye. Your time's up. Business is business. The room erupted. Kennedy started yelling. Jack's mom grabbed my shoulder. Someone knocked over a mimosa. My mother's house, I whispered. Dad wouldn't. Your father made his choice. He wanted to make sure I was taken care of. The house is mine. Wiggly. You can check with your own lawyer if you don't believe me. She pulled out another paper. A deed. I saw my father's signature at the bottom, dated 3 months after he married Camilla. My legs gave out. Kennedy caught me before I hit the floor. Why now? I managed to ask. Why like this? Camilla tilted her head, and for a second, I saw something cold and calculated in her expression. I need the money, sweetie. My daughter Brianna is getting married next spring. A real wedding, not a budget backyard thing. The commission from this house will cover it nicely. Plus, my husband and I are looking at investment properties. Her daughter. The stepdaughter I'd met maybe 5 times. She was getting a dream wedding funded by my mother's house. I was going to be homeless in 30 days. 6 weeks before my own wedding. You couldn't have sent this privately? Kennedy demanded. You had to humiliate her in front of everyone? Camilla shrugged. I wanted witnesses. So Allison couldn't claim she was never properly notified. Mr. Hutchins suggested it, actually. Very thorough. She smiled at the lawyer, who nodded professionally. That's when I realized she wasn't just cruel, she was careful. I threw up. Right there on Kennedy's cream carpet. Jack's sister held my hair back, murmuring reassurances I couldn't hear. Camilla left without another word. The lawyer followed her out, briefcase swinging. The shower was over. Everyone hugged me, promised to help, said awful things about Camilla that made me feel slightly better. But when they all left, I sat alone in Kennedy's bathroom, staring at the eviction notice, and realized something crucial. Camilla had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Because she'd forgotten something important about me. I'd grown up in that house watching my mother fight cancer for 2 years. I learned what real strength looked like. And my mom didn't raise someone who rolled over when bullies came knocking. I called Jack first. He came over immediately, found me still sitting on Kennedy's bathroom floor. We'll figure this out, he said, holding me. Then he stood up, pacing. Shli, no. Fuck figuring it out. I'm going over there. She can't do this. Jack, wait. She humiliated you in front of everyone. Brought a lawyer to your bridal shower like some kind of... He was shaking. I'd never seen him this angry. I need you to sit down. I grabbed his arm. Getting arrested for assault won't help me keep my house. He sat, breathing hard. Then what do? We think. I pulled out the deed Camilla had shown everyone. Look at this signature date. 3 months after they got married. Dad was healthy then. Happy. Why would he sign over Mom's house when he barely knew Camilla? In the chaos of packing documents, I knocked over Mom's jewelry box. The rosewood one with the broken hinge she never fixed. Inside was her wedding ring and a folded paper I'd found after she died, written in her left slanting hand. Allison, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't let anyone tell you that being kind means being weak. Protect what's yours. Love is fierce. I tucked it into my purse next to the eviction notice. Jack leaned in, his finance analyst brain clicking into gear. He'd spent years reviewing contracts, spotting irregularities. The handwriting, he said slowly. Look at the loop on the W in Whitmore. That's not how your dad signed things. I've seen his signature on your birthday cards. You think it's forged? I think we need to prove it is. And that's when I stopped being scared. That night I had a panic attack in the shower. Jack found me on the bathroom floor, hyperventilating, mascara streaking down my face. I can't do this, I sobbed. What if we lose? What if I'm not strong enough? He held me until my breathing steadied. Your mom fought cancer for 2 years, he said quietly. You watched her do that. You learned how. He was right. The next morning I woke up with clarity. Mom's note was on my nightstand. Love is fierce. I got dressed, made coffee and told Jack, let's destroy her. I went to the county recorder's office first while Jack started searching online. Asked to see all property records for 847 Sycamore Street. The clerk, an older woman named Patricia with kind eyes, pulled up the files. Here's the original deed from your grandparents too. She scrolled. Rachel Whitmore. That's your mother. Yes. Then it transfers to. She frowned. That's odd. My heart started pounding. What? It goes directly from Rachel Whitmore to Camilla Whitmore. No intermediate transfer to your father. When did your mother pass? March 2010. This transfer is dated January 2012. 2 years later. Patricia looked at me over her glasses. Was your mother married when she died? Yes. To my father, James Whitmore. Then this doesn't make sense. The house should have transferred to him as her spouse, then to Camilla later. This skips him entirely. She just handed me the weapon I needed. Can you print all of this? She printed everything. I spread them out, my designer brain hunting for patterns in the paperwork. That's when I saw it. The signature on the deed transfer. Rachel Whitmore in looping cursive. But my mother was left-handed. This signature curved right. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through photos until I found one of Mom's birthday cards. Her handwriting slanted distinctly left, letters compressed and angular. The signature on the deed was nothing like it. Jack called at 2 a.m. that night. I found something. His voice was rough, exhausted. What? Camilla's LC. Morrison Properties Holdings. He bought 2 houses the same month your dad died. Flipped them both 6 months later for a 40% profit. Allison, the down payments came from joint accounts she had with your father. She liquidated his assets before the estate even cleared probate. I sat up in bed. She's done this before. There's more. I found complaints filed with the real estate board. 2 separate clients claiming she forged signatures on closing documents. The cases were dismissed. Lack of evidence, but the complaints are public record. He paused. We can bury her with this. For the first time since the shower, I smiled. Forward me everything. I took the documents to a lawyer that afternoon. Not a big firm, I couldn't afford that. But a solo practitioner named Helen Yu who specialized in estate fraud. Helen looked at the documents for 10 minutes in silence. Jack sat beside me, his leg bouncing with nervous energy. Then she looked up at me with steel in her eyes. This is forgery. Almost definitely. But proving it won't be easy and it won't be fast. How long? Once. Maybe a year. Forensic analysis, court fees, depositions. We're looking at maybe $30,000 if it goes to trial. I didn't have $30,000. I had $8,000 in savings. My wedding was in 6 weeks, already budgeted down to the last flower. What are my options? Helen leaned back. You can fight this in court, long and expensive. You can walk away and let her have the house. Or, she paused. You can make her voluntarily give it back. How would I do that? Helen smiled slowly. By making keeping it more painful than surrendering it. Jack didn't like the plan at first. What if she calls your bluff? What if she lawyers up and we end up in court anyway, except now we've shown our hand? She won't. How do you know? I turned to face him. Because I know Camilla. She cares more about looking good than being good. We take that away, she crumbles. He was quiet for a long moment. Hey. But I'm with you every step. If this goes sideways, we pivot to litigation. I'll drain my 401k if I have to. I spent the next week gathering everything I could find about Camilla. Jack worked alongside me, his financial analysis skills proving invaluable. Here's what we discovered. Camilla Whitmore, now Camilla Morrison after her second marriage, was a real estate agent with Premium Estates Realty. She marketed herself as honest, ethical, family-focused. Her website had testimonials about her integrity. Her Facebook was full of posts about doing the right thing and inspirational quotes about karma. Her husband, Richard Morrison, was a financial advisor at a wealth management firm. Conservative, respectable. His LinkedIn profile emphasized fiduciary duty and ethical investing. Camilla's daughter Brianna was getting married next April. Venue, the Rosewood Estate. That place cost minimum $50,000 to book. Camilla was also on the board of her neighborhood HOA and volunteered at her church. Her entire identity was built on respectability. That was her weakness. Jack and I created a document together. Meticulously organized. Every piece of evidence we'd gathered. The forged deed, the property records showing the impossible transfer, copies of my mother's real signature compared to the forgery, photos of my mother's will leaving everything to my father. Then Jack added his findings. The LLC transactions, the suspicious timing, the real estate board complaints with patterns of behavior highlighted. This is airtight, he said, reviewing our work at 3 a.m. She can't wiggle out of this. I made 12 copies. One for Camilla. One for her husband Richard. One for the State Real Estate Licensing Board. One for Premium Estates Realty's managing broker. One for Brianna. One for Camilla's church. One for the neighborhood HOA. One for Richard's employer. One for the local newspaper's investigative reporter who'd covered a similar fraud case last year. The other 3 were insurance. I didn't send them yet. That wasn't the plan. Instead, I invited Camilla to lunch. She actually said yes. I think she was curious. Maybe gloating. We met at an upscale bistro downtown, the kind with white tablecloths that felt too clean, too crisp for the dirt I was about to throw across them. Her perfume hit me the moment she sat down. Floral and cloying, suddenly sickening. I wore white, not bridal white but battle white. Camilla ordered a salad and smiled at me like we were old friends. So Allison, have you started packing? I smiled back. Set my purse on the table between us. Actually, I wanted to talk about the house. There's nothing to talk about. The eviction stands. I think there is. I pulled out one copy of my document. Slid it across the table. I've been doing research. She opened it. I watched her face change as she read. Pale first, then flushed red, her fingers gripping the pages hard enough that I could see white crescents in her nail beds. This is. She looked up, eyes flashing. You can't prove any of this. I can. And I will. But here's the thing, Camilla. I leaned forward. I don't want to. Fighting you in court will cost me time and money I don't have. So I'm offering you a deal. What deal? Sign the house back to me. Voluntarily. Today. I have a quitclaim deed in my bag ready to go. You sign it, the house transfers to me, and this document disappears forever. Camilla laughed. Actually laughed. Or what? You'll send some papers around. She closed the folder, pushed it back across the table. Nobody will care, Allison. I've been in real estate for 20 years. You think some property records and complaints that got dismissed are going to hurt me? She stood up. Started gathering her purse. Premium Estates knows about those complaints. They hired me anyway. Richard knows I'm aggressive in business. That's why he married me. And Brianna. She smiled. My daughter will choose her mother over some stepdaughter she's met 5 times. She was leaving. The plan was collapsing. You're right, I said quietly. Nobody might care about old complaints. Camilla paused, hand on her chair. That's why I already sent one document this morning. To the state licensing board. Before I even came here. Her face went white. You're lying. I showed her my phone. The sent email, timestamped 9:47 a.m. Subject line. Formal complaint, evidence of forgery, Camilla Morrison. I sent them everything. The forged deed. The signature analysis. The property transfer timeline. They have to investigate now. It's public record once they open the case. I leaned forward. You have about 4 hours before it hits their system and your broker gets the automated notification. Camilla sat back down. Foley. You fucking bitch, she hissed. You brought a lawyer to my bridal shower, I said calmly. I learned from the best. Camilla's hands were shaking but her eyes went hard. Fine. Let's play. You want to threaten me? Let's talk about your problems. She pulled out her phone, opened her email, turned it to face me. Those property taxes you think you've been paying for 7 years? You haven't. Not legally. Because the house wasn't in your name. I've been paying them. In your name. Through my LLC. My stomach dropped. $47,000, Allison. That's what you owe me. And I have receipts for every single payment. So here's what's going to happen. You withdraw that licensing board complaint or I file a civil suit for repayment of taxes, plus interest plus legal fees. She smiled. How much do you have in savings? 8,000. Good luck. She'd been planning this. She had a countermove. Jack would tell me to fold. To take the loss. To walk away before this got worse. But I wasn't Jack. And I wasn't walking away. Do it, I said. My voice didn't shake. File your lawsuit. Take me to court for the taxes. But here's what happens when you do. Your lawsuit becomes public record. And every single news outlet I contact gets to write about how you're suing your dead husband's daughter for property taxes on a house you stole through forgery. How do you think that plays? The judge won't care about optics. But Brianna's wedding guests will. Richard's clients will. Your church will. You'll win your money and lose everything else. I pulled out the wedding website printout, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. The Rosewood estate has a morality clause in their contract. I checked. They can cancel bookings if the host is involved in criminal proceedings or public scandal that damages the venue's reputation. Want to test that? Camilla stared at me. The hard edge in her eyes started to crack. Your husband will care. Richard built his career on ethical financial advice. How will his clients feel when they learn he's married to a forger? Premium estates will care. They'll have to investigate. And Brianna? Your daughter will care when she learns the bride's mother funded the wedding by stealing a dead woman's house. Should I post this on the wedding website? Camilla's hands clenched around the document. You wouldn't. I would. Because you didn't just take my house, Camilla. You tried to humiliate me at my bridal shower. You brought a lawyer to destroy me in front of everyone I love. You wanted witnesses to my humiliation. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos. Well, I have witnesses too. 23 of them. And every single one of them has agreed to testify about what you did. I showed her my group text. 73 messages of women volunteering to testify, to share the story, to contact news outlets. This document goes to 12 different places if I don't cancel the delivery by 5 p.m. today. State licensing board, your employer, your church, your HOA, the newspaper. Everyone who believes you're ethical and honest gets to see who you really are. Camilla's composure finally cracked. Her voice came out raw. I loved him, she said suddenly. Her voice cracked. James. I actually loved him. He was broken when I met him, drowning in grief, and I pulled him back. I gave him 2 good years before he died. And he promised he'd take care of me. But when he died, I got nothing. The house was in your name in his will. The retirement accounts had you as beneficiary because he never updated them. I got the leftover furniture and his credit card debt. Tears were running down her face, smearing her makeup. I sat through his funeral and watched everyone comfort you. His daughter. And I was just the new wife. The replacement. Nobody even thanked me for taking care of him. For one terrible second I felt it. Pity. Then I remembered her face at my bridal shower. That calculated smile. The lawyer. The 23 witnesses to my humiliation. You could have talked to me, I said quietly. After Dad died. You could have told me you were struggling. For help. I would have worked something out. Would you? You were 21 and grieving. You barely looked at me at the funeral. So you decided to steal from me? I decided to survive. She wiped her eyes. And clearly you decided to do the same. She picked up the pen. Put it down. Picked it up again. If I sign this, you destroy all the documents. Right now. In front of me. Except one copy. Insurance. Not good enough. All of them. Or I take my chances in court. I thought about it. Jack's voice in my head. Don't give away all your leverage. I was tired. I pulled out the flash drive from my purse. The one Jack and I had spent 3 days compiling. All that evidence that could destroy her. I snapped it in half. Dropped the pieces in my water glass. They sank like tiny shipwrecks, black plastic against white tablecloth. That was the master copy. I have one more in my safe deposit box. It stays there. If you ever come near me or my family again, it goes public. Otherwise, your secret dies with me. Camilla stared at the broken drive floating in water. Her hand trembled as she picked up the pen. The pen scratched across paper. Once. Twice. Her signature barely legible. The house was mine. One more thing, I said, taking the signed deed and folding it carefully into my purse. You're going to call Mr. Hutchins and tell him to withdraw the eviction. Then you're going to email me a written apology. You don't have to mean it. But my 23 witnesses deserve to know this is over. And then it's over? You'll leave me alone. If you leave me alone. Camilla nodded, defeated. I left her crying into her arugula salad. The email came that evening. Short, mechanical, clearly written by a lawyer. Dear Allison, I apologize for the distress caused by the recent eviction notice. There was an error in my records. The property at 847 Sycamore Street is rightfully yours. All eviction proceedings have been withdrawn. I wish you happiness in your upcoming marriage. I forwarded it to all 23 shower guests. Kennedy called immediately. Oh my God, what did you do? I told her everything. By the end she was crying and laughing at the same time. Allison, you're a badass. Your mom would be so proud. The wedding happened 6 weeks later in my backyard, under the oak tree my parents planted. 70 guests. Twinkling lights strung through the branches, the evening air thick with the smell of night-blooming jasmine Mom planted years ago. Jack's vows made me cry. Mine made him laugh. It was small and perfect and exactly what we wanted. We spent our honeymoon budget on new locks for every door. I never heard from Camilla again. But I did some digging later. Brianna's wedding got significantly scaled back. They moved it from the Rosewood estate to a hotel ballroom. Still nice, but definitely not $50,000 nice. Camilla and Richard divorced 8 months later. Irreconcilable differences. Richard apparently told people she'd been dishonest about finances. The rumor mill in their social circle did the rest. Camilla moved to Arizona. Changed firms. I checked her new real estate website once. All the ethical language was gone. Just basic property listings. As for me, Jack and I are still in the house. We renovated the sunroom, turned it into a proper art studio. I run my design business from there. We're talking about kids maybe next year. Every time I walk through that front door I think about Mom. About how she fought for 2 years to stay alive, to stay in this house with me as long as possible. Camilla thought she could take that from me. She thought I'd be too weak, too broke, too scared to fight back. She forgot that my mother raised me in this house. And she taught me that when someone tries to take what's yours, you fight like hell. You gather your evidence. You find their weakness. And you make them regret ever underestimating you. The flash drive with all those documents? Still in my safe deposit box. But I don't think I'll ever need it. Because the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's taking back what they stole and building something beautiful from it. My mother wrote in that note years ago, "Love is fierce." He was right. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe. I share these stories because I know someone out there needs to hear that you can fight back and win. This house, this life, this peace, it's all mine. And nobody's ever taking it from me again.